Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. So today we are going to talk about the AIM-120. And yes, a lot of talks have been made due to this missile specifically after Olivia's leak that she did, saying that the AIM-120A is probably coming to War Thunder in a future. Obviously, I think it's just a matter of time until we actually get that type of missile. And also in the latest patch that we had, the Sky Guardians, we had the R-27 in the files as well. So I think we are going to a direction of having these modern Fox 3 missiles. Obviously we have the Phoenix, but it is not the same thing, right? These modern missiles are way better than that. Of course they don't have that amount of range, but still they are better in the sense of maneuverability and overall technology on it. They are meant to substitute the old semi-active missiles, so like the Sparrow, the R-27 and stuff. But I wanted to talk about specifically the AIM-120 because a lot of people are complaining about the R-27ER, and I want to make another video talking a little bit about how the R-27R can actually be used in the same way that the Sparrow is, and we kind of don't need the ER right now. But the ER was kind of not a big problem when we had small maps. It was just a normal missile that it was there. It had, I mean, a lot of energy, but if you're shooting from below 10 kilometers, it won't change much. It's still one of the best missiles in the game, but I mean, Sparrows and the normal R-27s and other missiles are very good at the range as well, right? But now we are having the big maps, which makes top tier really painful for the Americans, to be honest, because there is a small little thing that nobody actually talks about. If you remember, if you have been here in the channel for a long time, you will remember when I started to talk about the MiG-29, like maybe 1 year ago or something, that the F-15 was actually the best counter to the MiG-29. And the idea was that the MiG-29, man, in performance-wise, in radar, in missiles, it is mostly better than the F-16As that we have in game. And the F-15s would be, you know, a very good option to counter the MiG-29 itself. And now we are seeing why. The ER, even though I didn't know that he would actually add the ER, and there is a small factor that people say that the Sparrow is overperforming a little bit, so there is that as well. If that's confirmed, it means that the R-27R would be a more suffice weapon than it is right now. It's going to be a more enough weapon, you know, in the sense of performance than the ER. The R would just be bluntly OP, but it already is, right? But still. And the idea was that even with a better radar, if you know, the F-16A has a very bad, I mean, not very bad radar. It's a very good radar, but it is limited in the range, right? It has around 60 kilometers of range, while the F-15 has around 100 kilometers, 100 and something, depending on the size of target, depending on the variant of the F-15 as well. Depending on the variant of the EPG-63 and stuff. But in a general sense, even with that better radar, the Sparrow will always limit the American aircraft. The Sparrow is very limited. People don't realize how limited it is. Why? Because of two things. Energy-wise, of course, it is a sustainer booster technology that it is used in most of the missiles today, and it is the right idea, but it's not like out of the ordinary as well. The energy of it is pretty alright. But the main problem is the seeker. The seeker, while not having an inertial navigation system or a data link to increase the range beyond the seeker, it means that, like the R-27s, right? It means that the Sparrow seeker is the max range that you can deal a shot. So, for example, if you get an F-15 right now, to get against a MiG-29 with the ER, it would mean that the ER could, even though the radar on the MiG-29 is inferior to the F-15, and the F-15 would see the MiG-29 first, The MiG-29 would shoot it first, and the missile on the Sparrow, even shot later, the ER would manage to hit the F-15 first because of the energy that the ER has. So the US is highly outranged, like really outranged in that sense. And it doesn't matter what it comes in the future, nothing will actually fix that. The F-14B maybe, or anyway, the AIM-54C can help fix that thing. The AIM-54C will track a little bit better the targets, right? But it is not a major fix as well, because the AIM-54 is a very easy missile to just avoid, right? So in a general sense, the ER, it's something that completely outmatches anything. If you haven't seen my videos lately on PVR, you know, one versus ones, basically general ideas of using the ER in a normal match, you will see that the combination of having a seeker with a very semi-active seeker with a very long range like the ER is, together with INS, which is the inertial navigation system, and together with data link, it makes it very strong. It makes it almost a semi Fox 3 missile, right? Of course, you still have to maintain the lock, but it is giving the missile the data link information via data link information from the mothership radar that has the range on more than 40 kilometers, and it can actually hit the target. So yes, it is highly and heavily outgunned and outranged in that sense. And a lot of people are talking about the AIM-120 and how it would maybe fix that. And I tend to disagree with you. According to some sources, obviously, these are very classified, these missiles, so it is hard to actually find information, proper information. But according to the forum post on the AIM-120, on the War Thunder post, the max range at 3 kilometers of altitude with an AIM-120B would be around 35 kilometers. It is pretty amazing, but max range doesn't mean that the target will be able to be hit in a sense of maneuvering, right? It can get to close to 50, 60 kilometers if you are close to 13, 14 kilometers of altitude, but it is really hard to actually do that. And it turns 28 Gs, Mach 4 speed, and it has an 80 seconds of battery time, which is the most problematic thing, with a 9 kilometer no escape zone. So this would be the facts or the stats of an AIM-120A, B, early Cs, right? And what we can see about this is that the range is almost the same as the ER. The ER can do better than that actually if it has the proper radar. We don't have the maximum that the radar of the MiG-29 can do is 60 kilometers of lock. So the maximum that I did was like 62. I managed to get a 62 lock and actually get a kill from that range. But it is really hard just due to the radar being limited on the lock range. If we get an Su-27, that thing will be even better, right? So yeah, it will still be outranged most of the time against the AIM-120, against the ER, right? The AIM-120. And also, it will turn less and it will be slower than the ER. Which means that not even AIM-120 will suffice to be outranging an ER. That's how big of a problem maybe the ER is. I'm not talking about taking out the R-27ER. Maybe if the Sparrows are actually overperforming and they actually nerf it a little bit in the future, we might see the removal of the ER and just the addition of the normal R-27Rs. That would be sufficient. That would make it a little bit more realistic. But I really doubt that we will see that. The ER is already in game. I doubt that we will see any type of modification on that. And we probably just will see the evolution of these missiles. So more missiles. So in the sense of Sparrows, there is nothing that would really like fix it. All the Sparrows have that range. It's really hard to escape that range of 45, maybe 50 kilometers. It's still way less than the ER. And also, the AIM-120 would be kind of similar. I think the major thing about the AIM-120 is close range shots, because you have a Fox 3. So if you are shooting from less than, I think it's, the R-27 is 16 kilometers. I think the AIM-120 is around that of active seeker range, right? So that means that if you are shooting from below that range, the missile would go pitbull from the get-go, and then it's really good. Then it's really, really good, because then you can just go cold and defend an ER while your AIM-120 is going for the target. So that's the major thing about the AIM-120, that it would be actually scary. While it turns the same, and while it has a lot of energy, it's not like the AIM-120 has less energy than the AIM-7, right? It has maybe more energy than that. But the thing is that the ER is a very serious problem. Not like, oh my god, it's making the game completely unbalanced, but it is there, and it's showing a little bit more just due to the fact of we having the bigger maps. What I think are the true options to fix it? One of them I already said to you. Of course, having the sparrow nerfed if it needs to be nerfed. If it's not really a fix, but if it's supposed to be nerfed, be nerfed. And also take out the R-27ER, which I think it would make a lot of Russian players very mad. But the other option is just a jump for the Fox 3s fairly soon. I doubt that we will see that. But yes, I think dark times are ahead of the Americans in technology, I mean, because if we don't get the AIM-120, the Sparrow will be outranged for a very long time, and yeah, the Su-27 will just make it worse. This Su-27, even though I prefer the MiG-29, the Su-27 is a more complete aircraft in the sense of radar and equipment and data link and other stuff. So it is just a better aircraft overall in that sense. And I just think that even against the F-16, I mean, you know, it will still heavily outrange the American counterparts with their Sparrows. So it is a problem that I think the more we go into the future, the more it's going to be problematic. And adding the R-77 in the AIM-120 would mean that, I mean, at least the Americans have the AIM-120. I doubt that they would just add the AIM-120 alone without the R-77. It can be a possibility, but I really doubt that they will do that. And even if they do that, I mean, it's not going to completely change the game, I don't think. I just think it would be kind of unfair to the Soviets, just because the MiGs only have 2 missiles, and then even the F-16As could carry like 4 AIM-120s. So that would be kind of, you know, come on. It's already one of the best missiles in the game, and then you carry 4 with IR missiles as well. I mean, it would be a little bit of a stretch. So they need to be really careful on the balancing in the future if they're going to continue with the bigger maps. The bigger maps actually show the limitations a little bit more of the American missiles, and I think there is not much room to improve. The F-15 will help a lot, I think, but not too much, because the range on the Sparrows will still be the same, the radars will be kind of the same, and even though it has more range, I mean, if you lose lock, you're done, and the Sparrow just explodes. So yeah, kind of problematic for the US. I think it's a dark future for the US until both of the countries at least receive the modern Fox 3s from the 90s. But anyway, this video is long enough. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about the AIM-120. Do you think it's OP, or do you think it is not enough for the ER? Do you think the ER is OP right now or not? I definitely think that it is superior than anything that the Americans have. But it's not like something out of the ordinary as well. I mean, you can deal with it, but you are seriously outmatched on the sense of BVR, I think, in a general sense, right? So, that together with the performance of aircraft, of course, an F-14 takes a long time to climb compared to the MiG-29, and it's just easier to kill with the MiG-29, it really is, and the Yak as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.